think that's a really important question, because with the Tavistock Clinic, it was founded in 1989 in order to respond to a number of young people presenting as gender distress. And originally, when it was founded, overwhelmingly the young people were young boys, were males that were concerned and wanted to potentially transition into being females. But in the last 10 years, we've seen a radical transformation where it's overwhelmingly now young girls that are presenting as gender dysphoric, and it has increased hundreds of fold over the last 10 years. And at the same time, there's been a rise in a particular model called the affirmation model, which we've seen spread across the Western world. And this essentially means is that if a child says that they are born in the wrong body or that they are the opposite sex to the one that they are born with, then you affirm what the child says. And so in that context, the question that you asked about how do you ensure that, for example, these regional clinics don't fall prey to those same concerns, is really about actually responding to the rise in gender identity theory and this notion that you have this kind of discrete gendered soul that only the individual, that child, knows. And it's the responsibility of other people to not question it, to find out what other factors could be contributing to that sense of worry and anxiety, but to just affirm it. And actually, a lot of research has been done over the last 10 years and have found that, for example, the overwhelming majority of a lot of the young girls that are presenting at these clinics also have other issues. They might be autistic. Some of them are victims of child sexual abuse trauma and so on. And so it's really important that we ask serious questions of these kids because, as you mentioned in the introduction, puberty blockers have some of those effects may well be irreversible, whether that could potentially be changes in the way that you develop sexually to, for example, infertility. And these issues must be dealt with sensitively, compassionately, but serious questions must be asked to make sure the right treatment is given. Because,
Inaya, on puberty blockers itself, on the NHS website, they used to actually say, you know, nout's the matter with these things, that there potentially weren't any side effects to taking them. And that actually, if you change your mind later on, it might be absolutely fine. Now they're saying, hold on a minute, we need a review, a rapid review, that was from the CAS report, saying, actually, there might well be, consequences to these things. Well, exactly. What explains this change in tone by the NHS?
Well, it's interesting. The Tavistock Clinic was rated inadequate by a review in 2020. And a lot of this focuses on a particular case, Kira Bell, a young female who took the Tavistock Clinic to court, saying that when she was given puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones at the age of 16, that not enough questions were asked of her. And actually, many of the effects from those hormonal treatments and so on may well be permanent for that young woman. And I think that a lot of people have been very scared to have an open and honest conversation, and you worry that when we're talking about children, which you would hope that as in a mature society, safeguarding and the protection of kids may well be one of the most important things that we consider. When it has come to the issue of gender identity, gender and sex, there's been a lot of difficulty speaking openly and honestly because people have feared being called transphobic or feared being called bigoted. But I think what this review is attempting to do is remind people that when it comes to dealing with children, we need to be evidence-led, we need to be compassion-led and not succumb to ideology.